I couldn't say no, could I? An invitation to the biggest party on earth. That said, it was a tough assignment. After all, Brazil's famous Carnival is no one-night stand. The locals, all 200 million of them, devote nearly an entire week to letting it all hang out. The Carnival actually started out as a religious festival, a chance to indulge one last time before Lent, when all good Roman Catholics are supposed to abstain from bodily pleasures. I must say abstention was the last thing on my mind when I set off, maracas in hand, for Rio de Janeiro, Party Central. It's one of the great festivals of the world, and certainly the biggest street party ever. It's indulgent, it's decadent, it's sensuous, and sometimes it's just a little bit silly.
It's the biggest party, Charlie!
Oh yes, this is my big chance.
Parade at the Rio Carnival, and you know you're in with the biggest crowd on earth.
I'm actually having a feeling of being part of a tribe.
Exactly! Exactly! That's it! Now you're in the spirit.
It looks chaotic, but in fact it is a highly organised and competitive event where rival samba schools vie for judges' points. It's like a giant rock Steinfort with a samba beat. So, how did I get here? Well, anything goes in Rio. For a few $100, any gringo can join the parade. You've just got to be prepared to give it a go.
What's the words? What they say?
Let's go! Vamos lá, vamos lá.
What?
Vamos lá, like this. Vamos lá.
Vamos lá.
Vamos lá. Yeah,
Vamos lá.
that's it.
Local girl Viviane Arujo and her Australian fiancé Aaron Smith invited me to be part of their team. At first I took a little bit of convincing, but now I just hope there really is safety in numbers.
We're nearly on. 20 million people watching. Any last minute advice? No?
I think now it's just to enter in the spirit and get in. And you're part of the team already.
Enter the spirit and let the spirit enter me. Exactly.
Exactly.
Whoa, whoa, and my baby's not me, I go to Rio de Janeiro.
Brazil is one of the wealthiest countries on earth. But Rio, sprawling between its forested peaks and those famous sun-drenched beaches, is a city of unacceptable contrast. Here, third-world poverty grinds alongside the glass towers of capitalism and the opulent apartments of the rich.
Dodgy wiring, no money, not much sanitation, but $1 million view.
Yeah, mate.
Exactly.
Pretty specky, eh?
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. Well, that's the joke in Rio, you know. The poorest people have the best views.
So if you're rich, you live down there. If you don't have any dough, you live up here with a view.
Nice, cool sea breeze.
And above this mosquito line,
Yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Ah, blessed are the poor.
Despite their poverty, or maybe because of it, the infamous slums of Rio, known as the favelas, have always been the city's cultural heartbeat. From hardship come artists, footballers, writers, musicians, and the samba. Incongruously, it's the happy sound of poverty and the audio track to Carnival.
It's one of the most fundamental parts of their culture. It comes from these places, you know, the homes of the underdogs.
Deep in the forbidden world of the favela, I discover a secret economy. Sequins, beads and body parts. Oh, what a snug fit. My tailor must have sent my measurements before me. A bizarre backyard fashion industry built on Carnival.
We're obviously from the same tribe.
Yeah.
This is where foreigners like me come to get fitted out for the party and to contribute to the economy. And how much will I pay for this costume?
You'll pay about 400 Australian dollars, which is more than the average month's salary here in Brazil.
I like the idea of an economy based on fun.
Yeah, I think
You don't get that much.
No, it's a good lesson there, isn't it?
Carnival is not just a one-night stand. It's a non-stop, week-long party where fun is compulsory and sleep prohibited.
You really look like you're enjoying this.
I love it.
It's 9 o'clock on Sunday morning and yet another party is just starting.
Come on, dance.
I don't get, what's the step?
Chiara Ramoldi is an anthropologist who came to Rio to study the festive phenomenon but got so caught up in her work she never left.
Where's your academic detachment?
It doesn't exist, academic detachment, man. No, if you want to live life fully, you know, if to understand culture, you have to dive yourself in it.
Would the world be a happier place if all nations behaved like this?
Yes, of course it would.
But Rio is not always such a happy place. Life here can be deadly serious. It's the most violent city in South America. Every 30 minutes someone is murdered, usually linked to the endless drug wars that plague the city.
How well armed are the gangs?
To the teeth. To the teeth. I mean, these guys have got, you know, they've got fortified dens on the top of the hills, you know, 360 views. You know, they've got rocket launchers.
This program is not brought to you by the Brazilian Tourist Board.
No.
Surprisingly, in one of the most violent cities on earth, the party is peaceful, soothed perhaps by the happy beat of the Brazilian samba.
It's got a very open, you know, sexual component. But this is part of the culture as well. It's a culture that it doesn't, is not ashamed of showing.
No, you don't have to be beautiful to get your gear up.
You don't have to be beautiful, you know. You just have to be a little bit like daring, you know. And like here is like big women are beautiful, you know, are considered beautiful. I mean,
And big bottoms.
big bottoms is the culture exactly of like, you know, of the big rounded bottom. Something that, you know, in my country, for example, is like, it's not considered beautiful at all, you know. Here is like, they worship it.
Well, that's worth worshipping.
It's worth worship, yeah.
Tall and tan and young and lovely. The girl from Ipanema goes a walking away.
Rio is renowned for its golden coastline, most famously Ipanema Beach.
I said when she walks, she
This celebrated stretch of sand inspired the famous song of wistful longing that captured the spirit of the city.
each one she passes goes, yeah, yeah, yeah.
This is a place that democracy exists, actually, because you will see people that lives in the buildings just crossing the street that is really rich people, and you will see people that comes from the favelas, near or not, but they come here and they sit beside each other. There's no difference, actually.
In their bikinis and G-strings, all men are equal.
Exactly.
That's a revolution.
Yes.
With 200 million Brazilians, a mixture of Indian tribes, African tribes, and even some European tribes, you can expect that everyone is going to celebrate Carnival in their own way. Up until now, I've been trying to keep the story clean, but this is where it gets dirty. Really dirty.
Just down the coast from Rio, in a little town called Paraty.
It's all over the place in Brazil. It's just celebration for 4 days in a row.
They're not crazy Brazilians, are they?
No, a little bit maybe.
No costumes here, but they're still up to their necks in Carnival, and my guide tells me this mudfest is mired in ancient tradition.
And the tradition is what?
Well, from many years ago, they used to come here to fish crabs, and they spread the mud to protect themselves against mosquitoes.
Also, it was an ancient mosquito repellent.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, it seems to be working. That bloke's got no mosquitoes.
Yeah.
Of course, there's no part of the world so isolated or remote that you won't find a couple of young Australian backpackers throwing themselves into the experience.
Do you know that the Indian crab fishermen use this as a form of mosquito repellent? That's the tradition here. And sunscreen. You've slip, slopped and slapped.
That's it.
What will your mothers say?
Back in Rio, it's time to face the music.
About 30,000 people will be marching here tonight, just in this one event, many over many days. Hundreds of thousands of people will actually be watching from the sidelines, and 20 million people. That's the size of the population of Australia. 20 million people will be the TV audience. Now, nobody here seems to be worried about making a goose of themselves in front of that many people, so why should I?
For me, it's a chance to dance badly in an even worse costume in front of millions and blame it on Rio. But for Vivi, who's about to marry her Australian boyfriend and move to Melbourne, it's a much more emotional moment.
It's gonna be the last one for a long time. So it's special. It's a special moment for me, for real. Oh my God. I can't say anything.
In a violent and divided world, a week of compulsory fun and foolishness can't be a bad thing. But after 5 days of forced frivolity, I'd had enough.
In a word, totally stuffed.
I had discovered that hedonism isn't as easy as it looks.
Put him the hard yards, did Charlie? Well impressed. Thought he was going to have a coronary at the end, but he managed to pull through.
How was it for you?
For me, it was like the samba. The lyrics was saying it's gonna be in the memory. So for me, it's unforgettable. It's gonna be forever.
Hello, I'm Amelia Adams. Thanks for watching 60 Minutes Australia. Subscribe to our channel now for our brand new stories and exclusive clips every week. And don't miss out on our extra minute segments and full episodes of 60 Minutes on 9now.com.au and the 9Now app.